In a way, I'm nervous for anyone who is in there, from a point of view of feeling sensitive, and putting myself in their place.
The question that lies behind the surface of Hollywood's golden couples is whether or not their love can endure the challenges that come with being famous, being in a relationship across generations, and being under constant public scrutiny. Just as Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher thought their narrative had all the makings of a contemporary fairy tale, it came crashing down in a whirlwind of betrayal, heartache, and coming to terms with who they were. The most talked-about couple in Hollywood at the time was Ashton Kutcher, a budding star and master of pranks, and Demi Moore, an iconic actress with a legendary career. However, problems existed under the surface of their relationship, which would lead to its demise, as shown in the social media photos and red carpet appearances. Their narrative is as intricate as it is fascinating, spanning a 15-year age difference, tragic personal tragedies, and frightening accusations. When did their happy marriage begin to spiral downward? How were Kutcher's deeds and Moore's frailties instrumental in molding their relationship's course? In the end, how did Moore recover her story after their terrible divorce? Join me as I delve into their story, one of love, sorrow, treachery, and perseverance. Their paths initially met in 2003 at a laid-back dinner party that their mutual friends had thrown. Instant attraction ensued. After a difficult period following her divorce from Bruce Willis, Moore wasn't in the market for a romantic partner. In the meantime, Kutcher was basking in the glow of his rising stardom. But there was a natural chemistry between them. There was no denying the spark between them. They quickly became inseparable. Naturally, they became a media darling. Moore and Kutcher were always in the news for being one of the sexiest couples in Hollywood. The media couldn't get enough of their 15-year age gap. Some lauded Moore for accepting a younger guy, while others predicted doom for their romance. The pair, though, appeared unconcerned. They looked absolutely radiant as they strutted hand in hand down the red carpet, radiating love and confidence. Their romance was revolutionary, not only a tabloid phenomenon. Moore broke the double standard of Hollywood's dating conventions by openly embracing a younger partner, making history as one of the first prominent women to do so. It had long been socially acceptable for men of a certain age to date women of a younger age, but the inverse was frequently viewed with suspicion and condemnation. By portraying themselves as romantic equals, Moore and Kutcher broke those preconceptions. Their brief affair came to a head in 2005 when, in a secret ceremony attended by A-listers, they tied the wedding. With close friends and family in attendance, including Moore's ex-husband Bruce Willis, the occasion was the ideal combination of Hollywood glitz and intimate closeness. The couple's love and devotion shone through as they began this next chapter of their lives together. They appeared to have a real connection behind the scenes. The three girls of Moore, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, reportedly formed a tight bond with Kutcher as he enthusiastically assumed the position of stepfather. It seemed like everyone got along swimmingly in the mixed family, and Willis and Kutcher even kept up a cordial relationship. Many people loved the family's contemporary arrangement, which demonstrated maturity and mutual respect. Kutcher and Moore were both doing very well in their careers. While Kutcher's popularity was swiftly ascending, Moore, who was already a well-established A-lister, continued to enjoy success. His rising star on Punk'd and his appearances in romantic comedies catapulted him to the top of the young actor market. As a couple, they appeared unstoppable, the epitome of a power couple. But as their romance blossomed into something out of a Hollywood fairy tale, cracks started to appear. The demands of fame, the age difference, and their different life phases started to affect them, even though they gave the impression of being together to the public. At least for the time being, their romance was far from over, and everyone was enthralled by their idyllic romance. Nobody could have predicted that the Hollywood couple's shaky foundation would eventually give way to one of the decade's most high-profile and contentious splits. Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore were the quintessential modern Hollywood power couple, by the mid-2000s. However, the relationship's vulnerabilities, which manifest most visibly when the focus is on them, started to reveal a downward spiral after the spotlight was off. Those who knew them well could feel the growing strain on them, even though they upheld their public persona as an ideal couple. Moore had a miscarriage while married to Kutcher in 2006, which was a tragic event. She was carrying a daughter, and the couple had intended to call her Amara Ray. Moore was hit hard emotionally, physically, and psychologically by the loss. Moore, who was already a mother of 3 kids, was thrilled about the prospect of establishing a family with Kutcher, who was childless at the time. Moore experienced severe anguish and isolation following the miscarriage. Her memoir, Inside Out, subsequently revealed that she silently carried the guilt of the loss for a long time in order to deal with the intense sadness she felt. Moore resorted to drinking and Vicodin, a risky mix that revealed her emotional frailty. According to her, the loss marked the start of a downhill spiral in her relationship with Kutcher, and she felt like she had let him down. Kutcher, meanwhile, was seeing his star climb even higher. His prank-based TV show Punk'd had made him a household name, and he was branching out into film with romantic comedies like What Happens in Vegas. Moore, on the other hand, had already achieved legendary status in Hollywood, but her career had slowed down and she was taking a break from acting to enjoy her family. An imbalance was established due to the disparity in their career paths. The tension grew as Kutcher was around by younger co-stars and basked in the spotlight more and more. Kutcher started shooting the 2009 racy comedy Spread, which follows a young man as he seduces ladies of a more advanced age. Moore claims that Kutcher informed her that Jennifer Jason Leigh, who co-starred with Kutcher, felt uncomfortable with her visiting the set. But Moore had a hunch about something more fundamental. She said in her memoir that she thought the justification was more about Kutcher's unease than anybody else's. The bottom line was that she wasn't worried about me being on set. He wasn't honest. The seemingly little episode really reflected a widening gap between them, as she put it in her writing. The trust that had once bound them together was starting to crumble. Moore tended to concentrate on household matters, whereas Kutcher's hectic work schedules necessitated living with his gorgeous co-stars and enduring long hours away from home. Because of this disparity, there were times of misunderstanding and unease that neither side was prepared to handle adequately. Moore felt more and more alone as the years passed. Although her kids and friends were there to support her, she still felt distant from her husband. On the other side, Kutcher seemed to be in another universe, one where his career was soaring and his fans adored him. Because of the difficulties brought on by their different life phases, the couple's shared joyful moments grew more rare. Moore and Kutcher kept up appearances despite these hurdles. Together, they walked the red carpet, posed for photos, and posted glimpses of their life online. From the outside looking in, they were Hollywood's golden marriage. However, on the inside, tensions were rising, and the anguish of unfinished business was slowly but surely wearing them down. There was a turning point in their relationship in 2009. Although Moore thought the miscarriage was the first warning sign, she came to realize in subsequent years that there were underlying problems that extended beyond her own personal sorrow. The couple's once solid trust was now showing signs of fragility as they were driven farther apart by the demands of celebrity and their own fears. They had no idea that the choices and experiences that would unfold over the following few years would alter the course of their relationship and their lives in profound ways. Their marriage was already precariously balanced by the start of the decade, thanks to Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher. In private, they battled anxieties, unresolved sorrow, and the strain of Kutcher's rising stardom, even as they presented themselves to the world as a unified pair. A choice they took at the moment to spice up their marriage would later come back to bite them. According to Moore's biography, Inside Out, Kutcher had proposed they include a third person in their relationship to make it more intimate. Moore hesitantly consented because she was eager to prove to her husband that she could be fun and adventurous again, and because she wanted to make their relationship stronger. What began as an attempt to deepen their connection ended up introducing issues and a fuzziness of boundaries that they were unprepared for. Moore came to really regret this action when he pondered about it later. At first, she went along with the plan to appease Kutcher and keep their marriage together, but later on she realized it was a mistake. In her post, she said, "I wanted to show Ashton how great and fun I could be, but looking back, I realized it only opened the door to problems we weren't equipped to handle." Bringing in an outsider not only muddied their relationship, but also laid the groundwork for treachery. By 2010, allegations of Kutcher's adultery with Brittany Jones, a 21-year-old woman, had begun to circulate, leading Moore to confront the rumors. Worst part, Moore was supposedly shooting on the East Coast when the couple's shared house was the site of the alleged encounter. Moore was devastated by the treachery. They had created a home together, and the idea of her husband inviting another woman in seemed like an insult to her dignity. In her memoir, she referred to the episode as a real fuck-up, the trigger that broke their trust. However, that was not the last of the scandal. Jones said thereafter that she had crossed paths with Kutcher when he went bowling with Rumor Willis, Moore's daughter. Since this placed Moore's family into the public eye during the accusations of an affair, it further complicated an already awkward position. Moore was already struggling with emotions of rejection and inadequacy when the media craze that ensued made her wounds even worse. Kutcher gave Moore an unsettling answer when she questioned him about the claims. Kutcher, in her telling, tried to shift the responsibility by implying that a third person had muddied the boundaries of their relationship. As Moore put it, Ashton said that blurred the lines and to some extent justified what he'd done. This line of thinking, in Moore's view, was both harmful and representative of their widening gulf. Moore felt even more abandoned and assaulted by Kutcher's reaction to the adultery claims. It appeared as though the already frail basis of their marriage had been irretrievably shattered. Moore put up a brave front in public, but behind closed doors she was breaking under the pressure of the allegations. The affair, however, provided plenty fodder for the media. Moore and Kutcher's marriage became a public spectacle as tabloid headlines scrutinized every aspect of the suspected infidelity. Their every action was studied and probed for more, and the once celebrated pair was now the object of rumors and innuendo. A watershed moment in their marriage came with the treachery. What began as an effort to deepen their connection ended up tearing it apart. The increasing estrangement between them was exacerbated by the entrance of a third party who was supposed to rekindle their bond. Moore came clean later on, how she thought she had let her boundaries and principles go in an attempt to save a relationship that seemed to be slipping away. The foundation of trust in their marriage had crumbled by the year's conclusion. Their relationship's fate was now in jeopardy as the fissures that had grown over the years opened out into wide chasms. The events that transpired the next year would further cement their course toward their ultimate separation. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher's marriage had reached a critical point in 2011. Even though the couple's relationship had already been severely damaged by the adultery accusations from the previous year, the events that transpired on their 6th wedding anniversary would further strain it. Instead of being a joyful and reflective time, it became a tragic turning point in their troubled relationship. Nearby friend and fellow star of that 70s show, Danny Masterson's bachelor party, was that year, and Kutcher was there to celebrate. Not the celebrations themselves, but rather what purportedly transpired thereafter at the Hard Rock Hotel in San Diego caused the event to gain notoriety very rapidly. Sarah Levy, Kutcher's alleged mistress, was 22 years old when she was accused of cheating on Moore. Details of the meeting surprised Moore and the public when they came to light later that year. Later that night, she met Kutcher at the party and ended up in his suite, according to Levy. She gave a detailed account of the event to US Weekly, where where she said that they had gone to a hot tub together before hiding out in Kutcher's room. According to her, Kutcher kissed her and started the whole thing off, and he even told her he was apart from Moore when they first met. The fact that Kutcher allegedly did not wear protection during their tryst was an additional unsettling element of the incident, according to Levy. "I enjoy things like this because I'm an actor. 90% of the time, it's fake. It's nice to have moments that are real." Kutcher, as recalled by Levy, later said, on the subject of Kutcher's motivations, "Hearing about the treachery and these purported excuses was like adding salt to an open sore for Moore. Moore was fully aware that the affair's timing was absolutely terrible. The story broke the weekend of their wedding anniversary. She said in her memoir that the news of the accusations made her feel physically sick. She expressed her nausea in writing. I knew she wasn't lying." In addition to undermining their marriage, the treachery targeted the anniversary of their vows to one another. Moore saw Moore's adultery as the last straw that broke their relationship. This event, which was both publicly and intimately related, seemed like the last straw after all she had been through, including the miscarriage, the involvement of a third party, and the accusations of treachery. Afterwards, Moore spoke clean about how embarrassed she felt in her roles as a public person and a wife. Her emotions of humiliation and loneliness were intensified by the media's obsession with the controversy. Regarding Kutcher, he mostly chose not to comment on the accusations. He dodged questions about the Sarah Levy incident, even though he refuted earlier accusations of infidelity. His decision to remain silent allowed the audience to form their own opinions. Moore, meanwhile, had to deal with the fallout from her broken marriage and damaged reputation. The scandal's aftermath was harsh and quick to spread. Once hailed as a contemporary Hollywood fairy tale, the pair is now nothing more than tabloid fodder. A lot of people were anticipating that they were going to divorce based on all the speculation about their marriage. Even while Moore had always taken great delight in being herself, she was suddenly finding it difficult to deal with the intense attention. Moore battled to keep a brave face in the face of increasing pressure. Her roles as a mother and an actress served as a crutch as she buried her head in her profession and her girls. The mental and emotional toll, however, was apparent. Her wounded spirit and exposed vulnerability were exacerbated by the public nature of the controversy and the betrayal. Moore saw the anniversary betrayal as a symbol of how far away from the trust and love they formerly shared in their relationship, rather than merely as a marital problem. Despite beginning their voyage as equals and partners, the pair now appeared to be on opposite sides of the planet. Their marriage began to crumble in 2011 due to a series of incidents that eventually led to their widely publicized breakup. Their relationship had already been irreparably damaged by the year's conclusion. It would take Moore a long time to face and overcome the wounds caused by the public and personal betrayal. The couple may have kept making joint public appearances, but the love that had once bound them was shattered. By 2012, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher's once iconic marriage had begun its latter stages. A gaping hole had been dug too deep by the emotional toll, public scandals, and betrayals. Moore and Kutcher divorced in 2013 following an official announcement of their separation in November 2011. Their marriage had lasted 6 years, a time of introspection, suffering, and finally, change came next for Moore. The breakup of her marriage was the turning point in Demi Moore's very introspective life. Moore revealed all in her 2019 memoir, Inside Out, which details her battles with Kutcher and her relationship. Their troubled marriage had a profound effect on the actress, who revealed that it had caused her to doubt her value and struggle with thoughts of inadequateness. Moore acknowledged that her dilapidated mental and physical health were precipitated by the dissolution of her marriage. She came clean about her history of using drugs and alcohol to dull the agony, a practice that began following her loss many years ago. A widely publicized health concern in 2012 was the culmination of her resurfacing substance misuse difficulties. A seizure Moore had during a house party sent her to the hospital, adding fuel to the fire of tabloid conjecture over her private troubles. Moore spoke about this terrible era in her memoirs, stating that she felt entirely lost throughout it. "I had no career, no relationship, no self," she remarked. The actress came clean about how her identity was entwined with her relationship with Kutcher, leading her to question her own worth after their split. At the same time, Ashton Kutcher seemed to be moving on fast. Actress Mila Kunis, with whom he had a brief romance after his split from Moore, was his co-star on That 70s Show. They were married in 2015 and have since started a family and rebuilt their lives together. Moore's highly publicized recovery process stood in sharp contrast to Kutcher's move into a new relationship and his silence on many more accusations. "One of the most hurtful parts of Moore's divorce from Kutcher," she said in Inside Out, "was seeing the bond he had forged with her kids throughout their marriage." Moore saw great satisfaction in Kutcher's closeness with Rumer, Scout, and Tallulah Willis, whom he had been a hands-on stepfather to. Yet their connection deteriorated following the divorce, and her kids were left to cope with their own emotions of desertion. Ultimately, Moore's memoir is about coming to terms with one's own mortality and overcoming adversity. She spoke about becoming sober and starting to put her life back together after struggling with substance abuse. She found solace in therapy, faith, and prioritizing her family during her rehabilitation. Moore wrote, "You can't really move forward until you've made peace with where you've been." She emphasized the need of facing her history. Her readiness to accept responsibility for her actions is a remarkable quality in Moore's narrative. She admitted her guilt for her actions throughout her marriage to Kutcher and spoke openly about how his betrayals had affected her. Moore said that her personal limits and principles were frequently compromised in her pursuit of Kutcher's approval. "I compromised myself to try to fit into the mold of what I thought he wanted," said the woman. Kutcher, on the other hand, has said very nothing in response to the accusations made in Moore's biography. Even though he refuted the first accusations of infidelity, he has dodged answering Moore's many assertions regarding their marriage. Rather than ruminate on the past, Kutcher has opted to speak about his present life with Mila Kunis, saying that he would rather look ahead. After Inside Out came out in 2019, Moore's career took a dramatic swing. The memoir was well received by critics and generated many discussions on openness, recovery, and the demands of celebrity. The act of telling her tale was uplifting and therapeutic for Moore. By reclaiming her story, she hopes to encourage others who may be going through tough times right now. Moore exemplifies the strength that comes from perseverance. She has rethought her identity at 62 years old, no longer allowing her former relationships to define her, but rather celebrating her strength in the face of adversity. Her story shows that it is possible to overcome obstacles and find healing, no matter how bad things become. Thank you for watching today's video. If you have stuck with us this far, you should definitely watch more videos here.